You know, I'm baffled as well. Only because I don't have the direct answer. I mean, we can come up with the probable answers. But why would the RCMP name this anonymous tip over all media? Like, it's not like it's a little slip. Natasha Haywood informed the RCMP on May 31st she described seeing a young girl holding a young boy's hand. The boy had dirty blonde hair and was wearing shorts, while the girl had darkish hair and pigtails and was wearing a tank top with blue strings. According to police, she said the children were walking towards a Caucasian female of about 50 to 60 years old with a loose curl haircut. Well, she got a pretty good... Where's the picture? Who was waiting next to the passenger side of an older Model tan or gold sedan with the back door open. So let me remind you, this was May 31st. The kids went missing on May 2nd, probably May 1st, reported missing on May 2nd. So they named this anonymous tipster. And then they meet with her sometime in early June. They couldn't have thought, it was that pressing. Exactly. The documents say that in early June, so she called the tip in on May 31st, and sometime in early June, police met with the witness near the corner of Garlock and Lansdowne Road, where she mentioned having seen the children walking north towards Westville, and that the vehicle appeared to be waiting for them. Well, how do you know they weren't out taking a leak? So what is it you're suggesting, Natasha Haywood? Why would they share this person's name? I've never, ever, ever seen that before. Like, there has to be a reason for it. It's not a sighting of Lily and Jack. They haven't treated it as such. It's just a not so anonymous tip from Natasha Haywood in these court documents. Like, think about how different they treated it in the Globe and Mail with protecting the neighbor's identity, right? The neighbor who countered Daniel's narrative by stating he heard somebody coming and going 5 different times or 6 times in 5 hours. And they drove a 5-speed. Now, that's pretty specific. So much for Natasha Haywood's identity. One could make the argument that they are forecasting. Mike DeMann thinks that this article was, or certain parts of this article were shot back at Belinda Gray for insinuating that because she's not satisfied with how the case is progressing, that the RCMP are taking that as Belinda wanting to go and essentially expose all the wrongdoings at this stage of the game, considering what the RCMP aren't doing or seemingly not doing. Well, let's not forget Jack and Lily don't legitimately have anybody of their kin there who's alive to fight on their behalves. They've got the suspects who can't wait to tell you how innocent that they are at any one point in time. And isn't it odd that takes up pretty much 100% of any of the content in the narrative right now? All has to do with the parents in this circumstance. Why do the RCMP, are they coming forward putting this out so it makes it seem that they are not using the media to make it look like the parents are more suspicious than they actually are in this circumstance? Because you don't want a lawyer coming in after the fact and suing them if they're not going to actually charge them, but they can't wait to go in front of the media and defame them. Shit or get off the pot type of attitude. I don't know. Probably a little bit of everything. It makes you think, though. And people have a right to be upset at the RCMP. But we have to be careful in not just assuming that they're putting down the investigation and capitulating to the story or the narrative put forward to them by Daniel and Malaya. Shan Diwas says, I feel what's coming through when watching Daniel is that he's not acting authentic because he knows he's being scrutinized. I feel he also knows he's being untruthful, and hence all of the erratic body language. He's definitely not relaxed anymore. There's something up. He also looks awful, like he's not sleeping. I think something is eating away at him, obviously. Well, it's interesting that you say that because he was over in Mike Demand's 3 a.m. Premiere the other day, communicating in chat, answering some different questions. Additionally, he shouldn't be expressing gratitude. He should be expressing extreme anger that the RCMP aren't coming up with the answers and why it wasn't turned into an abduction case in the first place. If they're putting out information that the kids got into a vehicle, etc. Listen, that's a great point. You know, it's another indicator that he's so relieved in this rhetoric that he's not involved, and he just keeps relying back onto this bullshit story that they've concocted. If he was genuinely concerned about Jack and Lily and them being found, it would sound completely different. He would be expressing extreme anger. I think you got that right on the money there, Shan Diwas. Thank you for your comment. Chelsea Gray, the fact that he keeps trying to emphasize how much he has helped and volunteered on his own sets off alarms for me. Any normal person, in her opinion, would just act and not worry about what's being said or how they look. You know, I don't disagree with the previous comment about the fact that he knows how hard he's being scrutinized when the cameras go on, and that extra effort, almost like what we would call the yips. But it goes far beyond that. We already know that he's not being truthful. He's inconsistent, and his behavior doesn't align with a caring parent who's genuinely concerned about finding the kids. Maybe he did all his searching on the first day when the RCMP were there, while him and Janie were trying to ignore the interactions the entire day. They were out there without any sort of communication, right? That's the whole point of having a communication device. You're out there searching frantically for your children, Daniel, but you had no communication devices. All of the tools that are with you, camera, clips, pictures, things for your own memory in the moment. How do you know that you're not going to stumble upon people, that have your kids tied to a tree or something? Some boogeyman. Take a picture of it. The fact in 2025 that you purposefully leave your phone at home while you go out and run around the countryside looking for kids that you say just disappeared less than 20 minutes ago is highly suspect. And none of you have any of your communication devices. Isn't that interesting? Well, at some point you must have went back and got them. This idiot that you're bringing up, Layla, this drunk turkey guy, if you're saying that he keeps repeating that they're not criminal masterminds, you don't have to be a criminal mastermind to lie in order to get away from your own wrongdoing and the harm that you brought your children. They're liars. We've proven them to be liars, okay? I'm not interested in this drunk turkey fucking guy. Go talk about him in his chat. Yeah, there's another great reminder here. This Valerie Freelick says there's no pleading to the public from either of them. Right. The kids aren't in the bush. You knew that from day one. You knew that before you even called the RCMP. And, even to embellish this stranger abduction, you would think that you would look at the camera and plead to the people that have your child to let them go. Return them immediately. And there's a half-hearted one by Janie, in that Facebook Live. But it made absolutely no sense because she's a baddie as she's nuttier than a fruitcake. This is a great statement. Whoops. It was a great statement. Hopefully Uh-oh. Hold on. Just wait. Booper Pot Pie 9634. I recall it being said by multiple persons that both Daniel and Malaya were dating other people within just a few weeks of the Sullivan children's disappearance. So why is Daniel Martell still giving interviews and taking such an active role now? She asks. My gut says he thrives off the attention and that he does it mainly for damage control. Well, he has to because the kids were last seen in his stinky ass trailer. And he's got to pretend. He's got to pretend and condition everybody to deflect any scrutiny away from him, but it does the exact opposite. An innocent person wouldn't have any time for stopping around and rubbing shoulders with all of these YouTubers in the way that he does. He's got to be there to constantly correct all the little things in the moment, no matter how meaningless. He's over in Mike Demand's live chat talking about how he doesn't want to turn this into a hate debate over Malaya. He's so protective of Malaya at this point in time now. This after all of the shit that he's thrown at her in the media and in front of the camera. It's a little too late to backtrack that, by the way. The fact that Daniel is sitting here reinforcing the mysterious aspect of all of this is a red flag. Oh, it's so mysterious how they could have just disappeared into thin air. No, as a caring parent in this point, you are with answers. Something happened to your kids. You don't just keep reiterating the fact that they mysteriously vanished and volunteered to walk out your door, so you think. So you reported. He remains very clearly involved. He's kept aware of any developments in the case. I'm not so sure about that. He keeps reiterating it's for the kids, but even if Lily and Jack were found safe and well, he's got no legal rights to them and would not even be allowed to visit them since he's no longer in a relationship with their mother. Right. He's got no... That's exactly how he treated the kids in real life too. Like they weren't his. Except for when that camera's on, because they're all assuming that he's a caring father and concerned about the whereabouts of Jack and Lily because he put in all of that work in the first few days of the case. Booper Pot Pie says, I don't care about polygraph tests. They are inadmissible in court for many reasons. I heard Martell slip up and refer to both children in the present tense and in the past tense separately when speaking about each child, as have we all, madam. This was within just days of them disappearing. I do not believe him. I do not believe Malaya or Janie either, for that matter. I'm convinced that all three know exactly what happened to those children, and that it occurred the evening of May 1st rather than the morning of May 2nd. I don't understand how statement analysts have not ripped their statements apart by now and dragged them all in for the RCMP to question repeatedly and at length until one of them breaks. Well, you're simplifying it in at the end there. This scenario with them being hit in the driveway, in my opinion, isn't as logical as it sounds. It's simplifying it in your mind. That has no need to cover up Okay? There's no need to cover up. If you run over the kids in the driveway, you call the ambulance and it's an accident. The kids live. And you hit both kids at the same time? There's 2 kids that are dead. I don't think that I know Nietzsche brought it up, but that's the last thing I would even consider in my personal opinion. The only reason to lie and cover up in a circumstance like this is because it's a murder. All right? This is a homicide, not an accident cover-up. And it wouldn't be prosecuted as such, especially that they go to great lengths to cover up their own negligence leading to the death of these children. The police have stood in front of the cameras and told you that they don't believe the kids are alive anymore. And it comes from that question comes from putting too much credibility into a polygraph examination. Let me repeat this clearly. They don't work on sociopaths or people under the influence or effects thereof of drugs. All right? You don't have to replace the possibilities, because the goddamn things are a farce to begin with. They're nonsense. They're a tool, not the tool like these dumb cops want you to believe that they're utilizing it as such. Isn't it bizarre to anybody that both of the people that were in the parental roles of the kids are eager to have this put behind them? As in, they're not concerned about where Jack and Lily are, nor have they ever been. Malaya won't even talk out and speak out in the media. She just wants you to think that it's a possibility of all of these particular things, of the things that could have happened, never to be seen again. Oh, I can't say anything in front of the camera. Why? Because you're worried about it incriminating yourself, causing you difficulties because you're trying to dodge any sort of culpability in this matter. And silence is your best friend, especially when you definitely have something to do with it. And you do, Malaya. Why are you telling people, Layla, in my comments section, talking about this fucking idiot drunk turkey who's an ex-cop from California? Who the fuck cares? Let me just tell you, he's probably a fucking ex-cop for a reason. He's an ex-cop with the YouTube channel who's talking about this case. I'd be real concerned about it. Stop talking about him as though he's some sort of figure of authority in all of this when he can't see the obvious. Stop being conned. It has no importance of Daniel's lack of intelligence or intelligence in all of this, just because you out there can't figure out whether or not he's actually lying or lying. That's you not recognizing the things that you're not going to know in an investigation. People, listen. It doesn't matter if he's smart or if he's not. If he was intelligent, he wouldn't even be in this circumstance to begin with. He's playing into a role, one that Malaya Brooks Murray certainly didn't feel he was a good fit for it any longer. I mean, all of their kids are gone and they don't want to answer for it. They've got no answers. Meaning that they're signaling their own negligence, which led to the deaths of these children. We know that's the bare minimum. There's so much more to it. Okay? This moron who wants to tell you that it's probably just one of the neighbors in the area. Which one, asshole? Which one? You don't need to incorporate the randomness of a stranger when these children are out in the middle of nowhere to begin with. They've got one neighbor within miles, pal. And anybody that would be in that area, you'd be able to hear them. Someone was just out there laying in wait for those kids to come out. This drunk fucking turkey ex-cop from California. What an absolute idiot and a stupid idea. And I don't pull that card very often. So, Layla, for those people who were writing in my comments about incorporating this guy's new video that Daniel is over in his chat and Janie wants to call into his show and talk like that's actually something, fuck off. Why do you keep asking to be lied to by the same people telling you the same things in the same way over and over again? Ban the bitch from your chat. I don't need to talk to the guy. I don't need for him to gaslight me any longer. You know, even in Mike Demand's live chat the other day, he comes in and he talks and he doesn't say anything, but the whole point to him coming in there and normalizing and humanizing himself is to shed any sort of suspicion away from him. He didn't come in and give you and offer you any sort of real answers. All right, there's some good questions, but when you scale out on a little bit, he's grooming you. He's grooming you into believing anything that he says at any one time because you're asking the question and you're being instantly satisfied. He doesn't want to talk about anything that's going to make him look suspicious. And it's easy to correct you from the clear statements that he's given to police and repeated to you publicly. You want to talk about self-serving? Self-serving are the content creators who continue to allow their live chats to be an arena of exploitation for Jack and Lily. You should be outraged, and your focus should be towards the RCMP and pressuring them to come to a resolution in this situation. But what do we get? We get the RCMP lying to us, and we're trying to find ways out here to make that make sense. They're lying and disinforming and being convoluted over the purpose of this most recent unloading of documents. None of this. Listen, in an ideal world, the guilty parties responsible for this would be in handcuffs right now. Show me a world where two kids who just wander off, allegedly, never to be seen again, is an acceptable excuse and an acceptable mystery for police. The lack of evidence would be evidence of a cover-up in of itself in a circumstance like this.